Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston with our group at Johnston, and I'm here for He Said, She Said, They Said with Andrew Plank. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Charlotte Hale, and she is a friend and an interior designer, and she's come to talk to us about home staging and making your home look good and just general good feeling homes.
Yeah. So I would say like home staging has like gotten into the culture of listings probably in the last 10 years for sure, heavily. What do you think, Charlotte?
I agree. I think it's because people can see the difference, feel the difference when a home is staged. So yeah, I think there has been an increase for sure. Yeah.
I'm finding there's a high level of sophistication with sellers right now. So sometimes I'll go in and they've already staged.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the people who watch the real estate shows and know how real estate is done, and they watch the staging shows and then they know how staging is done. And it's good. There's some good information in those, and then there's also probably bad information. I don't know, Charlotte, if you have any experience with that.
I have, especially in the interior design industry, with all of the design shows that are on TV. So it is great. It empowers a lot of people to make changes, but it also people can go in a direction that isn't all that effective. I'll put it that way. Yeah. So and not everyone has the imagination, I guess, or has the time even to know. It becomes so overwhelming when you're selling a home, right? And if you have another set of eyes, people that can come in, and it's just really easy to not see your environment after a while, you know. And so I come in there and help people with that, and in an objective kind of way. So
that's really well put. And I've seen many people after their home has been, whether it's staged or reprocessed a little bit by someone who's come in to say like, let's idealize this space. And they say, oh my God, I don't really feel like I need to move now.
I've heard that. I've heard people say, why did I not do this when we first bought the place? You know, I don't want to now because of that. So that, yeah, I have heard that before for sure. Yeah. So
do you find so you're a designer as opposed to a stager, right?
That I am both, but I'm a designer. Actually, I'm an architectural designer, meaning that that I can do and design all aspects of a renovation. So other than where the engineers come in. So, but staging I love doing because it's so immediate, and because again it empowers the people to make these changes for themselves, and it can actually be kind of fun, even, you know. Although it's people are usually in that overwhelm mode, right, when I show up, and there might even be some mediation or couples counseling that takes place by the time I get there. The stress levels can be pretty high. So I do pride myself in empowering everyone involved, and giving people tasks that are manageable, you know, under that duress. So by the time I leave, they will have a list of things that they agree need doing, and then I like to check in and make sure that they're still okay once they're left with that list.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So that's how I do it. I understand that it's not straightforward for people a lot of the time, and again, people don't have time. There's people are working a lot these days and hard. Yeah. So
I find one of the things that people do is they take out too much stuff, so then you're left with this bare room with no character. But the whole point is you're supposed to have to me, you need a vignette. So for each room tells a story about how you're going to live there, and allows people to be, it has to be somewhat, what's the word? Somewhat neutral, so that they can place their own stuff in there, but it also has to be livable for the people who are living there.
You don't want to overwhelm the space with personality, but at the same time, you need to show how that home can be lived in.
Yeah. That's balance, like depersonalizing and taking out your family photos and items that are very personal to you, but not removing everything so sterile that it looks like a hotel room, and then people can't imagine themselves living like that either. So
Right.
it's keeping it comfortable and home-like without going to hotel, and so there is a balance to that for sure. Warmth, you want to keep the warmth of the place.
Right.
People can then imagine themselves being there and being surrounded by that warmth. So yeah.
So Charlotte, Charlotte often will come in for my listings, and rather than stage a full empty home, what we do generally is work within the lines of what the people have there. So it's just, and I get asked my advice when I go in, and I will give some of it, but I always say, you really want to talk to the stager. It's free. She will give you a consultation, and she'll help you with some ideas here. And you will take those away and you will do whatever you want with them. You have only so much time, energy, and money. I understand that, but this is really gold, this advice. So, and
it's not free. It's not free. We pay for it.
No. Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, if you're doing a full staging on the home, generally the seller is asked to pay for that. If the seller truly wants to stage their home, right. I mean, it's all negotiable with your agent. But overall, I'd say the industry is that if you're going to stage your own home, you're going to probably be paying for it yourself if you're doing a full empty home complete stage.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that can
I've done as well. On a place, it's better to have some furniture in there for sure.
Yes.
So I've done that too, where we'll rent furniture and decorate it like that. But if I can, I work with what people have for sure. Because it costs less, and that's usually the case that they, we're working with their goods anyway. Mm-hmm.
For me, it's well worth it to stage somebody's home because you want them to get the most amount of money. It makes it way easier to sell the home for the seller. It also, to me, is like a psychological step in taking a step away from the home, moving it from living in it to selling it. Don't you guys find?
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
It makes it more real for the homeowner. They're moving through the process by that point.
Yeah. Andrew, are you finding have you had? Well, I'll tell you the first story that I had a listing in that I staged. So people would come in, and in the hallway. This was a townhouse in Broadmead. There was a 3-legged table, and it was against the wall. And people would look at this table, and they'd be like, "How's that table standing up?" Yeah, it was like leaned against the wall. So anyway, there was a beautiful skylight. Nobody ever commented on the skylight, and there was a view as you look straight through the hallway into the living room and then out over the Rithit's Bog. So the talks were always, what about this table? So anyway, I got the stager in. So this must have been 2007. And the stager removed the table and the comments immediately changed.
Yeah. Yeah. I found often, as walking through homes with buyers, and you walk into a home, and if you're distracted by the seller's stuff, or if there's some sort of storyline that is happening there that is immediately apparent, that has nothing to do with the house, but everything to do with the seller or their possessions or the photos on the walls, you've stopped looking at the home and you started trying to piece together what's going on here and what's happening. And that's not what you want if you're selling your home. You're not showcasing your stuff. You're showcasing the house. The house should support, the stuff should support the house.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Open up the spaces, and by having distracting pieces of furniture or art, well, people are easily distracted. It's just the way we are, right?
We're storytellers.
So, even realtors are. There was a house that had some interesting toys in it, and all the realtors were talking about that house.
Oh yes, I've heard this story.
Is it what is like,
Please
oh,
put away your toys. Not the right kind of staging.
No, no.
okay, so I have a question. We're getting into Halloween and then Christmas. What's your opinion on staging for those times? Like, one of my clients like loves Christmas, so she will have everything out. And do we want that out or not?
I guess that's an interesting question. Actually, I hadn't really thought about it. I haven't been approached about that before, because everyone, if it feels differently about Christmas, or some don't celebrate. I think it's okay. I just think I would ask that homeowner to tone it down a bit. Not have as much out as they normally would, because again, their home is on display for everyone. So you don't want to, you want to keep that again from being a distraction. Too much at that point. That's part of her process as well. That letting go of how she usually normally likes it, and how she has to show it to the world. So, yeah, it's tricky. So I just not as much, not as much stuff.
You wouldn't recommend it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Not quite so much.
Andrew, do you find that when you look at homes before and after, like, can you tell when you go into a home and see that it's being staged?
I can tell that, well, not always, because, you meet some folks, this is just how they live. And then there's other folks who really, really need the help. And those folks who really need the help aren't the ones generally who want it or understand its value. And that's part of the challenge, actually. And one of the reasons why I like to bring in someone like Charlotte to talk to the folks is so that they can actually see the value in it and have that conversation with someone who's a professional outside of me wearing the realtor hat. Because, as I said, time, energy, and money, people only have so much, but those people who really need it aren't the ones who've ever really thought about it so much. Those people who really have, great furniture and live a fairly minimalist lifestyle and have maximized the use and enjoyment of that home, they're already there, and they just might need a couple of tweaks.
Right.
Yeah. So
How long does it take generally from so to me, we have a timeline. So we meet with the client, we introduce them to the stager, and then they have the appointment. How long does it usually take from when they meet with you, Charlotte, to when they're ready to list, do you find?
I guess it would depend how much work they have to do, but for most people, I mean, I go in and we've got our list of things to do within an hour generally. Sometimes I even get in there and help them move some things around. Just okay. Well, let's move this chair. Let's put some lighting in this corner. And I help them just to get the ball rolling a little bit. So, and that happens within that hour. And then I'd like to give them at least a week, because if they need to do something like rent a storage locker, because they just have. They're trying to cram all their extra goods into the garage, which isn't really a great idea either. They need time to do that. They need time to declutter, and perhaps their front door really needs painting. That might be something they need a few days for that. So it's good for me to get in there a week or maybe even two before it goes live.
Yeah, and that's something to comment on. Staging is more than just the interior of the home. It can be paint, it can be the exterior, it can be some planters outside, it can be putting some bark, the common things you see, people put bark mulch down on the beds, the garden beds, and they'll, of course, you hope they mow the lawn.
Yeah, hope they do that.
Tidy up, all the stuff.
Well, curb appeal is really important. So yeah, the front door, if that's in rough shape, definitely take care of that. Putting out a couple planters at the front door, just tidying up your yard, like you're saying. That can all take time for sure. So it's I guess it's more up to the realtor to say, well, I think we need a little extra time here for them to get ready.
I find it's a balancing act too, Jane. I don't know if you find this, but sellers often want to just get the place on market and let's go. And I say, well, we need some time to get ready. And we initially meet with a client and we provide them a market analysis, let's say, and we say, okay, well, give us some heads up and some timelines here before we get going. We're going to be doing some preparation work. And then quite often they'll call and say, well, let's get going. And we want to be on market in a week. And it can be pretty frustrating because we haven't had the time to really get it ready.
You mean on our end or on? I find it's better to get it ready, to get it perfect for at least the photos.
Yes.
And the first, because you never get a chance to make a good first impression again. If the first impression isn't good, you've lost that first impression. So
exactly. And when somebody says, well, let's go in a week, you work that backwards. And are you ready for photos? No, I'm not going to be ready for photos yet. Okay, well, I need the photos before I can list the home. And before we can get the photos, we need to stage it. So, a week is really tight timeline unless you're really willing to put a lot of effort and money into making this work.
I highly recommend it, because if you look at the effort that it takes for staging versus the price you're going to reduce your house if it doesn't look good, the time is worth the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're putting in time up front to prepare your home for sale. You're doing some work to fix the little tidbits that might need some fixing, and maybe make sure you're, everything works and everything looks good. And if you do that at the front, you're saving yourself all of the having to clean your home for showings, being on market for maybe weeks to months, and reducing price. So it costs you a lot less to prepare your home up front. That's what you think.
I also think regarding using the storage locker, which Charlotte recommended.
Yes.
I don't know what the cost of a storage locker is, maybe a couple $100, and then just the space, the flow. Do you look at the flow of the rooms, Charlotte?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's a big part of it, actually, because if you feel obstructed, or if things are not placed properly in there, it has a huge effect. You want to, that's the decluttering part. I mean, obviously clearing off the top of your cabinets or top of your fridge, or removing extra items. I mean, that's pretty basic decluttering. The decluttering I'm talking about is more the opening up of the space. Show off your corners, just allow a good flow through the space. Makes a huge difference. So that's why I suggest the storage locker, because just take out some items you're going to take with you anyway, and open up the space. The people can't look past these objects that are there. It's just, yeah. Sorry,
So,
I don't know how to describe that.
Charlotte, how do you handle it when someone says, and you say to someone, you've got to get rid of this. You've got to move this big piece that is in the middle of the room here and is sucking up all the energy of the room, whatever it is. And this is a really important piece to them. They consider it the centerpiece and a vital element. And you're really trying to tell them, oh, this has got to go.
Yeah. Well, I've dealt with that with people who have heirlooms in their home. It might be like a giant steamer trunk that they've got in the middle of the room, or something that was their grandparents, and these are our beloved items, and I have to be careful not hurting anyone's feelings. But really, I think I'm pretty good at letting people know that this is an incredible artifact, but it'd be best if it was put in storage, for now. And
I call it pre-packing.
Right, packing. That's good. I like that. And it's also
I showed a property recently, and it had mostly been emptied. Actually, it wasn't staged, this home, but it still had. Speaking of artifacts, it still had a number of items in there that the prior owner had been. His occupation, because of his occupation, there was a number of really valuable items there that had, unfortunately, one of the people going through that home had unfortunately opened up and dropped and messed up quite a lot of bad stuff. It created quite it was unfortunate. So the thing with heirlooms and things of value, the other piece about that is, it's best not to have anything that's a temptation. We're with our clients. We keep an eye on them. We want to make sure that everybody's safe in the home and nothing is taken or damaged. But, you know, sometimes there's a kid along there that finds a shiny object and says, oh, this is interesting.
Mhm.
So, you know, part of staging too is just creating this safety for people as they go through.
That's right. You can say to the homeowners, let's protect, let's
Yeah.
take care, and have that, put that in storage. You know.
Yeah. I find, childproof the home for sure. You don't know who's going to be coming through this home,
No.
and especially with COVID these days, you just want to make sure that, you know, nobody's supposed to touch anything, but you still want to be careful that there's no temptations.
Yeah.
And you know, a storage locker is one thing, and I find if you have the room in your garage, or sorry, not in your garage, but in your yard, just one of those storage boxes is really helpful.
Yeah.
Because you can just begin the packing process right there, and you can hide your stuff immediately.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
So, Charlotte, if people want to get in touch with you, what's your number?
My phone number is 250-888-9513.
Okay, and your email?
Email is one long word, GEDDesignCo, GEDDESIGNCO @icloud.com.
Okay, awesome.
Do you have a could you put your website into the chat? Sorry,
I
Charlotte?
don't have a website anymore.
You don't? Okay.
Oh no,
There we go.
No.
Okay.
I'm switching out my website to to work more on my sculpture and my art now. So.
Okay, that's right.
Andrew, do you have any other questions you want to ask Charlotte?
I'm good, actually. I mean, Charlotte, do you have anything you want to say that you feel like we kind of missed here? What do you think of digital staging?
Of what? I'm sorry.
Digital staging.
Oh,
Virtual
staging. Yeah. Well, I don't see why not. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to walk through a home and be able to point out areas that need staging. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of that going on these days. So I'm open to it, and I think it's for a lot of people, they'd probably feel more comfortable with that too right now.
You know what? Actually, so Charlotte, that wasn't the question I was asking, but that's a great answer, and something. No, that's a great answer, and something that people really could make use of is that virtual and using the Zoom technology to walk someone through their home and give that kind of advice.
Yeah,
I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that working. So, what question were you asking that I?
Putting virtual furniture in a room in a photo. That's what he was asking, right?
Yeah, so people are taking photos of blank rooms and then digitally enhancing it with actual digital furniture. So I listed a townhouse some years ago that was vacant and had it digitally staged. And they went to such a degree that they lit the fireplace and put clothes on the hangers. And, you know, there was things on the shelves. And it just was, you know, and it was really quite interesting because as people come through the home to view it, they say, oh, did the people move out? You know, it was so beautifully set up.
Wow.
And so they'd come through this empty home, but they would have the experience of seeing the photos that actually showed this warm and inviting home with, you know, good quality furniture and so on and so forth.
Very cool technology. Yeah.
I find that with staging, I think what I want the effect to be in the end is that people come through the home and say, I'd love to live here. I'd love to, I can see how this could be lived in a way that I really enjoy this home. And so it's realistic for them. It's not got furniture that's out of their league. And yet it reflects the quality of the home, the price point of the home, and the kind of buyers that are going to be going into that home. So, for example, I mean, someone may not care what kind of table is in there, but they really enjoy seeing a barbecue and patio setup that they can entertain on, because that's the kind of lifestyle that home represents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the vignettes.
Yes.
So Danielle is asking, Does the staging always get the house a better selling price, or is it beneficial in other ways, like getting a faster offer, quicker sale? And I will say definitely. And what we'll do is we'll bring back another stager, and we'll do some before and after, and you'll see why it's so important.
Very good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
And
cool.
even us, I find like I'm really affected by it when I'm pricing a home. So like if you know your realtor is going to come and do a pre-walkthrough, tidy up your house, like vacuum the carpets and sweep the floor and get the cookie crumbs off the counter. It
Yep.
makes a big difference.
It
Yeah.
adds value, and it also shows potential buyers when they're going through that you cared for the place, that you took
Yeah.
good care of it, and that means a lot for people coming in. Wow, well, if this place looks like this, then probably everything is working. Probably the appliances have all been taken care of properly. It puts the potential buyers at ease.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. I mean, when people come through a home, they're making assumptions all the time about how that home's been lived in and cared for. And if you can show that you've lived and cared for that home well, and all of the clues and everything that points to that, then you're going to get more money for your home.
Absolutely.
And that's true. What Jane was saying too is, when I go through a home and someone hasn't taken the time to clean it or to make sure that if I can tell they're not going to put energy into making their home sell, I know that it's going to be harder to sell and they're not going to get the same price.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, cleanliness is a big part of staging.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks so much for joining us today, Charlotte. We really enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you both
Good
very
to see you
much.
again.
Fun.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next segment of our show. So just if anybody wants to talk to Charlotte, you can reach her at 250-888-9513 or GEDDESIGN code Getty Design. Get
Design. It's
Get
my,
Design.
yeah, it's my my other name. Anyway, yeah, that's my company.
Okay, at iCloud.com.
Screenshot this.
Guys, it's been fun.
Okay, see you later.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I thought we would do is, since we always promise people that we're going to go over the stats, that we can do that. So let me just get that ready for us. Always important to know what's going on with the market. How are you finding things right now?
Still really busy, and it may be just because I have more condo buyers right now, but I'm finding the condo market is tightening up, which is what I've been thinking is going to happen for a while. Just made an offer on a property yesterday that had been on market for 40 days. We ended up competing on it, where, that generally tends to indicate when you start to see properties, the only remaining properties on market are the ones that have been around a while that might have been a little higher priced. And then those are now selling near or at asking price or under competition. It's because the market's come up to meet them.
I'm finding it a lot more active on my listings for condos right now, for sure. But I think what we were saying about the condo market catching up with the housing market, that's true. And I think with people are starting to make their buying decisions, a lot of people are motivated to get done before Christmas.
Yes.
So I think that's part of it. Okay, so our stats are overall listings, 2,279. So that's down almost 400 from last year at 2,643. New listings are up 683. That is also actually down. It's down about 30%, 918 last year.
Well, hold on though. That's 918 would have been for the whole month of October, and we're only at 20th, right? Is it the 20th?
19th.
19th. It's close enough. So 2/3 of the way through. So I think we're going to hit that 918 mark, or maybe even better by the end of the month.
Yeah, but relatively speaking, though, our net unconditional sales are at 581, and they were 619 last year. So we're talking a faster market.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. We're almost at the 2/3 the way into the month. We're almost at the point of the same number of sales for the whole month of October.
I like to look at this stat below to see the new listing and pendings. So what we're both feeling, I always say to people when they ask me what's the market like, it's kind of like sitting on a pulse. You go up and down with it. So pending listings exceeded new listings this past week, 218 compared to 188. That doesn't mean you can ask whatever you want. You still have to price your house reasonably.
Does suggest though that there's more homes selling than are coming on market, which is going to bring the number of active listings down and put continued pressure on pricing and less availability. And as we go closer and closer to December, November, December, we're going to see less listings coming on. Historically, that's how it works.
Right. And then the price decrease is interesting. Like the last few times we've seen price increases, we're down to 12 of those, but price decreases, we're up to 89. There's going to be a push to get homes back on the market or off the market before Christmas. Do you agree?
You mean, people don't tend to want to move over Christmas. It's dark, it's cold, and people are trying to concentrate on family and so forth. So yeah, I'm finding that people are either like, let's try to get in really quick, or let's get in January, February. And people are trying to avoid December if they can. And if you're selling a home, you want to get it sold beforehand, or make sure you take it off market for a month or so, or more before you go back to market.
Right. So what's your prediction for the rest of the year?
Oh boy. Do I need to say disclaimers? Because do not rely on this as advice. I cannot predict the future. I feel like there's a lot of push. There's a lot of people who want to come here. People are looking at coming here from all over Canada, and if they could come from the States, they will. So this is a wonderful place to be. We all know this. That being said, I'm seeing, I believe we're going to start seeing more foreclosures in the new year. I think we're going to start seeing the, having to pay the piper eventually, that have been putting off their mortgage payments and deferring before. So I think we're going to start to see a little bit more inventory coming that way, and whether or not, and also I know that the economy of Canada is, people are not so feeling of security. So I think people are pushing to get into homes. Whoa, Zoom. People are pushing to get into homes, but I don't know if, long story short, I don't know what the spring will be. It could be one of two. I think it's going to go in one of two directions. We continue to be super white hot, or we fall off a cliff. I don't know if there's a middle ground.
I think it's going to be pretty strong till the rest of the year. I think there's still the pent up demand that we're dealing with. And there's a desire to get out of rentals because people feel vulnerable, I think. Also, I think the people who own rental condos who were selling them beforehand, I'm petting my dog, by the way. That those are probably sold off or selling off as we speak. And next spring, I don't know. I think it depends on where you live in the country. I mean, there are a lot of people who are getting out of Ontario still, and I'm getting inquiries from people in the United States who are wanting to move up here. So we live in a pretty special place.
We do. And it's sort of like, it is a haven where people do want to come. And so that will always be a great thing, but it always has been that as well. So we do find that our market goes up and down. It's not completely insulated from the outside world. And so, that's where I say, this is a great place, but it's not always money in the bank. At the same time, if you are looking for a good home, need shelter, and want to upsize or downsize or make a change, go for it, because it's what's best for you in your life. And Victoria is a great place to be. Well,
especially with interest rates so low.
Yes.
It's a good time to move up the market, actually. And so what I found this year is Normally there's a bit of a squeeze as the upper market comes down and the lower market goes up. This year, the upper market has still been very hot. And so people have moved up, especially with lower interest rates and refinancing and stuff. I do think there's going to be a bit of disparity between those who are in service-oriented jobs versus those who are in kind of white-collar employment jobs. So those people are going to be catapulted ahead, those in steady white-collar jobs, only because the people in service jobs have been compromised with COVID. So
that's too bad, but there's a big shift in where where the money is flowing these days, and that's why I'm seeing again. I think we're going to be looking at some shifts, whatever they are, but there's shifts happening.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you want to talk about next week?
Not real estate. I need a break. I've been so busy. Let's talk about something else.
You had a break last week.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about on the buying side again? Why don't we talk about hot areas of the city so we can do an in-depth market analysis of like where do we think the best deals are? Okay.
Yeah. So we talked before about our favorite areas, but that had nothing to do with really like where the hot buys are. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So next week, tune in 10 a.m. at He Said, She Said, They Said with Jane Johnston and
Andrew Plank Unplugged.
We're going to get better at this. All right. We'll see you at 10 a.m. next Monday. We're going to be talking about hot areas to purchase in Victoria and why. And we'll back that up with some data. So you come with 2 or 3 places. I'll come with 2 or 3 places. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Take care. Have a good week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.